So I'll give him the microphone by saying, quoting Thomas Jefferson, who said, "One man with courage is a majority." Senator David Pearce.
Thank you very much, and what a pleasure it is to be here. And please continue eating your meal. I think most of you realize that the veto session is starting tomorrow. You maybe heard about that a little bit, and so I can honestly say this will be the highlight of my week, being in front of friends. It is great to be in front of friends and to see some familiar faces. Jim mentioned that I was a graduate of 1978 from Warrensburg High School, and my high school principal is here. John Moyer, would you please stand up? Would you stand up? He did. I spent a lot of time in your office my senior year, so those gray hairs, yeah, he looked so young before I started. So, oh, it's so great to be here today, and I know your new president, Marilyn, is going to do a great job. Let's give her a round of applause. She's going to do a great job. You know, to be president, you have to take initiative. You have to be a little conniving. You have to get things done when people aren't looking. You think she's pretty good at that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, a few minutes ago, I said, Marilyn, would you like to have the carrot cake or would you like to have the cheesecake? See the dilemma I'm talking about, right? Would you like the carrot or the cheesecake? And she goes, I'll take the carrot cake. She goes, I switched it when you weren't looking anyway. So, true story, right? True story. So, Jim, you got your hands full this year. So when she's not looking, you know, the chess pieces might be moved a little bit. But hey, that's how you get things done, and that's what it's all about. This is a special group that I'm appearing in front of today, retired teachers. Because throughout your career, you've touched hundreds, if not thousands, of lives. You have made a tremendous impact for the future of the state of Missouri that will be felt for generations to come. You are special, special people. And when I think of the teachers that I had, I can just go from kindergarten all the way through high school, and the administrators and the people, just what special people they were and what they have done in my life and literally for millions of Missourians over the years. You're special, and you've done a wonderful job. And so I want to say thank you for your career when you were teaching. Give yourselves a round of applause. You're amazing. I think a lot of you know my story. My father was a teacher. He taught for 35 years, and he taught public school students for that entire time. And when he retired, guess what was the first organization that he joined? MRTA. MRTA, a good decision. And you know, I think when he retired, he thought he would take it easy, not be as busy, just relax. And is that what happens in retirement? Probably not. It's probably like, how did I have a job? How did I do all this stuff, you know? And so he went to some MRTA meetings, and guess what? Within a couple of years, he was the county chairman of Missouri Retired Teacher. And they also lied to him. They said, just do it 1 year. Has that ever happened to any of you? But 1 year stretched into 3 years. And so he was the chairman of the Johnson County Retired Teachers for 3 years. And that was before email. And so my mom, Lonita Pearce, she was in charge of the phone tree. Yep. You know what a telephone is when you get up and talk? So she would call people the night before. Clarence wanted me to tell you that we have a retired teacher meeting at the University Inn at 12 noon tomorrow. And so for 3 years, she was in charge of the phone tree. And I never will forget Dad. He would talk to the group, and he had this huge cardboard letter that was made out with an address on it to State Senator Harold Caskey. And he would take that to the meetings and say, this is how you address your envelope to State Senator Harold Caskey. And he kept that in the garage, and he'd haul it out every month, and he would take it to the retired teachers. And I wish I'd have saved that, you know, because who'd have known that 25 years later that his son would be the state senator. And so those are just some tremendous memories of retired teachers and how it's so important. Well, I hear that this is a record-setting conference, over 300 people here today. Yep. Isn't that fantastic? And you're probably saying, how am I going to finish eating if he keeps wanting me to applaud things? But, but try your best. So 300 people, that's fantastic. That is wonderful that you are active and you're mobilized and you're here. That you're here. And that is so very, very important that you take the time. Every year in the legislative session, we have about 1,000 different bills that are presented. 1,000. And until somebody calls us or emails us or gets in our face or talks to us at church or at the grocery store, we sometimes don't know which of those bills that we need to follow. But when you get active and when you get mobilized, then we as elected officials, as state senators, as state representative, then we realize that it is important to you. And let me tell you something, retired teachers are not bashful. When it comes to grassroots, I would put you in the top 5 of all organizations in the state. Congratulations, yeah. And we need to hear from you. We need to hear from you. You can't just assume that because you campaigned for somebody that they know how I feel, that he's my neighbor or he's my nephew or she was my former teacher, she knows how to vote. You've got to get involved and stay active. And no one does it better than retired teachers, and it's so important that you come here to Jefferson City and let your views be known. Quite honestly, if you don't do it, no one is going to do it for you. No one will do it for you. Jim does a great job. He's a great executive director, and he goes all over the state. Did I say that the right way? Okay. Just like in rehearsal, huh? Okay. He does a great job.
I'll pay you later.
You'll pay me later. He does a great job. But if it was just Jim walking the halls, if it was just Jim calling me and talking to me, it would mean nothing. The reason it's successful is because of your involvement and what you do. I just drove up to the Capitol about an hour ago, and I had a whole stack of letters on my desk. And I was able to go through them very quickly, and guess what was on the top? A letter from the Johnson County Retired Teachers and School Employees Association. Right? Dear Senator Pearce, the members of the Johnson County Retired Teachers want to talk to you about some issues. And it is about, I don't know if you've heard of this, House Bill 253. House Bill 253. And they are encouraging me to agree with the governor, to vote to not override, and to sustain the governor's veto. And there is a resolution which I'm sure very similar to what you've done back in your home counties. And not only that, it is signed by about at least 25 people. I don't know if you can see that. 25 people. And this isn't a photocopy. This is the original signature right here. And that's how things work. This is how it should be done. So they were doing a good job, and I know a lot of you have done this too. So that's why it works. Well, let's talk about House Bill 253. And because I know it's uppermost on everyone's mind. Generally, when we come to veto session, it's pretty uneventful. There's not a lot of things going on. There's not much excitement. In fact, you can go to veto session and come home and people don't even know you're gone. Well, this is a whole different year. 2013 is a whole different year for a couple of reasons. First of all, Governor Nixon vetoed a record number of bills. And so that just puts a lot of things in play. In fact, he vetoed one of my bills, Senate Bill 9, which we don't have time, Jim, to even go into that. But House Bill 253 is one that a lot of people are talking about because it is supposedly a tax cut bill that will cut taxes, that will eventually stimulate the Missouri economy. It was done basically in response to what was done in Kansas a few years ago, which I personally feel was misguided, which I think is going to hurt Kansas in the long run. And since when do we follow Kansas?
Yeah.
So I see some Jayhawks out here that I know that I've just insulted you. So so why do we want to follow Kansas? It was a tough issue. There was Senate Bill 26 that was very similar to House Bill 25, and then House Bill 253. I'm sorry, House Bill 253. When these came through for discussion, and when it came time to vote on them, as Jim mentioned, I'm the chairman of the Senate Education Committee. We oversee K through 12. We oversee higher education. And I also serve on the Appropriations Committee, one of the 11 members that serve on the Appropriations Committee. And in wearing that hat, I just thought, how can we cut up to $700 million in revenue to our state when our foundation is underfunded by $600 million? How do we cut $700 million of general revenue in our state when higher ed is underfunded by some $400 million? How do we cut $700 million when we are really underfunding education by $1 billion? And so my answer was simply, vote no. So when House Bill 253 came through, I voted no. And let me tell you, it was the best vote that I think I took this past session. Amen. Thank you. It was not easy. It was not easy, but I just felt it was the thing to do for the long-term future of the state of Missouri. And as everyone knows, the governor's been very involved, very vocal. He vetoed the bill. And a lot of times when governors veto it, they just veto it and then they wait for that second week of September, but he's hit the road. How many communities has the governor visited? How many of your communities has he visited? A lot of places. And he was doing it last Friday, in fact. So he has made this a huge issue, a very, very big issue. And people know. I mean, everywhere I go, people are talking about that bill. Is it going to pass? Is it not? Is it going to pass? Is it not? And the reason why it's been uppermost on people's mind are people are involved. They're engaged. They're not hoping that people are knowing how to vote. They're trying to effectuate how the votes go. And groups like retired teachers have been very involved. And so there's going to be a lot of people watching what's going to happen in Jeff City tomorrow. Prediction? My prediction? A veto requires a 2/3 majority. So that has to have 2/3 in the House. It has to have 2/3 in the Senate. It needs 109 votes in the House. It needs 23 votes in the Senate. My prediction is that it will not pass in the House. I don't think that they have 109 votes to get it passed. So that's my prediction at this point. If, however, it does pass in the House, I do think it will pass in the Senate. And so that's why all action, all activities in the House, it is a House bill. So that's where the action has to be first. It has to be taken up in the House. So that is my prediction. That being said, that even if it is sustained, the governor's veto is sustained, the issue will come back next year. These issues never go away. And so you need to be involved. You need to still stay involved with your elected officials. You need to be involved in the grassroots process and be ready for what happens next year. And so those are, we will know a lot more probably by tomorrow night because we start at noon tomorrow. And that will more than likely be one of the first bills that is brought up. Well, in closing, let me just say it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to represent public education. It's an honor to represent retired teachers. As you know, my father was one, and guess what? I'm married to one. So she's not retired yet. She's not retired yet. So, but I'm married to a teacher, and so education is so important. It is so important. Public education is so important because every day we open the doors, and 800,000 young people walk through. We don't get to pick and choose. We don't take the cream of the crop. We take everybody. And if it was easy, anybody could do it. But we know it's not. And so thank you for your years of dedication. Thank you for being a teacher. Thank you for what you've done for the state of Missouri. Thank you very much.